Good evening, Coach Matt Drengon here. Day in the life of a business coach. Time for the daily wrap up, and it has been quite a day. So let's cheers to the nice glass of red wine as we do our wrap up for the evening. Very nice. We started the day with 6 coaching calls on the agenda. We quickly had one of those cancel and moved to next week, and then we had another one throughout the course of the day that we added. So we actually ended the day at 6 coaching calls. We had the biggest win of the day was I have been working on getting a particular enterprise deal. To get the deal, we must first get the appointment. There are many ways to get an appointment. What I highly recommend is getting an appointment from a raving fan. Many ways to turn a client into a raving fan. The most important one is they get results and they feel that they are valued, heard, appreciated, and you double the value or more than what they expect. I feel we've done that well with one particular client who has done very well in their last year. So I got the favorable introduction to a big deal caliber prospect. I'm having a tough time getting that out tonight. And bottom line is it's a big enterprise deal. And talking to this prospect, we booked our prospecting call together. So very excited about that. We set some ground rules. I would call that the upfront contract, where, and this is back from my Sandler selling days, the upfront contract is when we agree that we're going to have some type of decision in that meeting. And the decision being that we'll agree to a yes, a no, or a maybe, but we'll come up with some next steps. We'll at least be able to give each other an honest assessment of where we are at the end of our first call. So that's exciting. That's coming up here shortly, the next couple of weeks. So fired up about that. The coaching calls themselves started off with a very high performer, a legend in their business, so to speak, and that was a fantastic call to start. And that was the self-awareness conversation and going through where the business is right now, getting ready to start the actual coaching process of how to change and implement some of these business strategies and part of the mindset. So exciting there. Number 2, we got to an executive assistant coaching call, someone who's new to the organization, working with them, just becoming familiar, comfortable, and building their certainty, building their confidence, and they're doing pretty fantastic. That's good. Next is that here's kind of a tiny thing, but I think it makes a big difference. I changed my email signature on all of my outgoing emails to have a link to my YouTube channel, Coach Matt Drengon, my Instagram business account, which is Coach Drink, my Facebook business page, which is Coach Matt Drengon, my LinkedIn account, Matt Drengon, my Twitter account, Coach Matt Drengon, and soon I'll be adding my podcast to that. So excited to have all those things going together. Oh, and if you've ever heard me speak before, I've been working on the podcast since August of last year. Finally feeling the courage and confidence to put that out there. So excited about that. After lunch, we had back-to-back owner number 1, owner number 2, and a conversation. That was 1 hour each. The first owner was a really high-structured owner, so I could speak to that person in my natural language because I'm really structured too. When I say really structured, I mean talking in terms of metrics, like do X activity this week, X number of activity the next week, X number of activity a month, talking in terms of specific metrics and numbers. The second owner on the next call, same company, just the second owner, that particular person's a high empathy person. So I don't talk to that person the same way. I don't talk to them in terms of metrics. We talk more in terms of how things feel and the feeling of where the business is. So excited to do that right now. I just got a text from a client who had a big day, so that was cool. I'll text him back in a minute. So that was good. After that conversation, it got really interesting because then I got to talk to an owner who was very frustrated, and they were frustrated by a perceived slight that was given towards them by someone else in business. And I feel the conversation was very powerful and impactful, yet we didn't complete it in the time that we needed. So what we ended up doing next is we ended up completing that call and agreeing to speak again later in the day, hence the second or the extra coaching call scheduled for the day. So I followed up with another conversation, an owner who has a new habit we are implementing, and they are overcoming procrastination as their challenge. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Procrastination as your biggest challenge? Well, this is a person who is incredibly successful financially, spiritually. Everything about their business is successful, and they're battling procrastination. So working through that was what we did a little bit, and we're making a little bit of progress on every conversation. This person is growing tremendously quick, which high performers can do. It's sustaining that. It's the challenge sometimes with a high performer, because some of them get shiny object syndrome, which is when they happen to focus on this for a 2 or 3 week period, then move on to the next thing the next 2 or 3 weeks. Never content with staying on one thing till mastery, but trying to master everything in a short period of time. So working on that, but that was a really good call. Then we wrapped up with that follow-up second call with that owner who was frustrated, and it was quite possibly one of the best breakthrough calls that we've had in a long time. It was awesome, the way that they figured out that when they have this, and here's a place to take a note, team, if you ever listen to these and take notes, the note is when you find that there's an emotional trigger or a landmine that someone steps on, or a tripwire that causes you to go, that causes you to go into your uncool space, into your not okay space. If you can identify that trigger, and then later, after the emotion has gone down, come back and discuss ways to work through and around that trigger so that next time and in the successive things in the future, it does not continue to hold that much sway over you. If you can first identify, become aware of that, and then work through that, then you're going to have a fantastic personal growth development when you do that. So this was a one where this particular person found the trigger. We identified it, isolated it, and then we talked through logically, rationally about the way that we can win next time that trigger happens. And the cool thing here, the key thing here rather, is that when we see the trigger coming, we have a logical business strategy, the way we're going to handle it, but how do you overcome the emotion that comes when that trigger comes? And that's a little bit trickier. And the way that I've done it personally, and the way that I coach people to do it many times, is we have some type of affirmation that we repeat on a regular daily basis, and or we write into our journal something along the lines of this particular trigger. I welcome you to my table. I welcome you into my life. Show up anytime. There's always a place for you here. Moving forward from here on, you'll have no more power over me. Repeating that process over and over again, I've found to have tremendous results for myself and for many clients. So consider that, team. And by the way, I'm not really doing this to try to necessarily get new clients, but if that's something you ever wanted to discuss, feel free to talk with me about it, PM me about it on one of the social media channels, and we can have a discussion, because that's one of the biggest ways that I can serve and help. So that ends up being a fantastic day. And I'm pretty spent right now, hence this bottle of wine. Pardon me, glass of wine, not a whole bottle tonight. I got a big day tomorrow, so we'll probably keep it just this one glass. So that's Day in the Life of a Business Coach, team. Once again, if you watch these and you watch my tone, demeanor, temperament, body language, what you can see is that I really enjoy doing what I do. It's very fulfilling, and if you've got that, when you've got that in your business, then you're going to be successful when you go and keep learning and keep getting better. If you truly don't enjoy, don't like what you do, you're doing it for someone else's expectations and you can't stand it, then how else can I put this? You're in trouble, because you're not ever going to really enjoy it or get to that place of enjoyment. To get to that place of enjoyment, the quickest route that I've found is to do something you enjoy. The secondary and more hard, difficult route is to work so hard on your mindset to convince yourself to enjoy things in any situation, and that takes an incredible amount of discipline. So consider these thoughts, team, as we wrap things up. You know what? I'm starting to think I might start doing like a Jerry Springer type thought of the day type thing on these Day in the Life of the Business Coach, as I learn and continue to fine tune and hone my craft. So, team, make it a great night, and let's live a legendary life. Good night.